guys, welcome to Little Helpful Files. My name is Lindsay and we do mini savings challenges, cash budgeting, and a little bit of life in general, all through the glory and by the grace of God. If this is your first time here, make sure that you hit that subscribe button if this is something that you're interested in. And today I'm going to be following up on the Budgeting Little by Little series that I have been trying to do and work on, which has taken me a while to get through. But today we're going to be focusing on the cash envelopes and just kind of talking through that. So for some of you that have been doing this a while, you may know a lot of this stuff, but if you are new to this, if this is your first time kind of learning about cash envelopes, cash budgeting, I just want to be able to talk through some of that. And again, this is from a Christian and faith-based perspective. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so cash envelopes are something that I have truly loved. It has helped my family get out of debt, but also to just stay on track with our budget. So what is a cash envelope? A cash envelope is basically a category for your variable expenses for the month. So what you're doing is kind of creating that envelope, right? So let's say groceries or gas, haircuts, things like that you know you're gonna be spending within the month, but it's a little bit harder to gauge or know how much you're gonna be spending. So a little bit different than like a fixed bill. Let's say like your cell phone bill, right? Like you kind of know what that amount is going to be each month. Cash envelopes for me have always just really worked because you can set that amount and you can't really spend what you don't have, right? So if you think about it that way, it's really encouraging you to stay within the budget that you've set up. And I think that's why it pairs really well together, especially when you're setting up like a zero-based budget or like your paycheck or monthly budget or whatever it is. Once you have those amounts set, it's now the practice of stewarding those finances in the best way, following that budget. How do you move forward through the month to make sure that that budget is as close to actual as possible? So the Bible has a lot to say, about debt and kind of staying out of debt. So I'm going to just read real quick in two different places. So Romans 13:7 and 8, give everyone what you owe him. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. Let no debt remain outstanding, except the continuing debt to love one another, for he who loves his fellow man has fulfilled the law. When I think about this and the way that we're kind of taught growing up, like I was just explaining to my son the other day a little bit about what debt is, and he's 6, so he has like a lot of questions and it's kind of hard for him to wrap his mind around. But I told him that like kind of, growing up I had this idea that money just kind of grew on trees. I didn't understand finances. I didn't understand saving. I didn't understand just the way that, I needed to steward my provisions that God has given. So I think having that understanding moving forward, obviously again, life happens, things come up, but having your cash envelopes, regardless whether they're physical cash envelopes or maybe cashless, you might use an app, it is helping you to stay within your means. So society kind of tells you to just charge it, put it on a card. Oh, you can, live your best life, have whatever you want. But what does that do to us? That ends up putting a lot of weight on us. That ends up putting a lot of debt on our shoulders because we tend to spend, right, more than we make, more than we have. So we end up then owing because we don't actually have that money to pay for those things. So the cash envelope is so helpful because especially if you're using physical cash, you cannot spend more than what you have, right? So if you have $100 in an envelope for groceries for the week, that's all that you can spend. When that $100 is gone, then that's it. You don't have any more for that category. So it brings that awareness to it too. And I think that's why the physical cash works best in my opinion. If you are good at it and you are diligent and you are at the point where you've been doing this a while, you might be able to do it cashless and you might be able to track within like a debit card or credit card. And that's great. But the whole premise around it is staying within your budget and only spending what you actually have to spend. And what this does is over time, that consistency allows you to, again, stay within your means, but it also will allow you to save more because you now are not spending more than what you make. You are going to be able to spend less and budget in and factor in what you want to have saved up for your future. And, you know, my mindset of a lot of things have shifted. My priority of what I want and need has shifted. But like now I'm at the point where it's like, if we don't have the money for it, I don't want it. Like, I don't want to have to charge anything. I don't want to have a loan. I think that's why I've wrestled a little even with like buying a house, which I know that that's like a normal thing to have, you know, a mortgage or a loan or whatnot for a house. But there's just a part of me that's really enjoyed not having that weight of the debt. So again, I have to balance that obviously, because we eventually need to have like our own home and place to live. I also want to read from Hebrews, which I'm just noticing that it was Romans 13 and Hebrews 13. How cool is that? Okay, so Hebrews 13, let's see, it's 13:5 that I'm going to read from. And this says, keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. So this is something that, again, I think that when you can budget and do your finances, ultimately knowing that it's God's, everything is his, and that he's in control, it does help, because otherwise you can begin to idolize the money or the finances, or you can kind of obsess over this stuff, right? And I've been there. So like, again, I'm just as flawed. I'm just as in need of help with these things. So I just want to show you real quick the way that I do this. For me, we usually have our variable envelopes, okay? And that is what I kind of keep at home. So this is how I will break it up for like each paycheck or for the month. I do it different depending, because like if we get extra money in, I might be able to just take out a chunk all at once. And if not, I'll just have to do it, you know, split it up for each paycheck. So what we do is this. So we split it up like that of the envelopes, right? The amount that we want to put in there. And then when we're actually shopping or when we're using that cash, I will take out what we need, or I'll give it to my husband, because that's the thing too. He does a lot of shopping for like groceries, because as I've told you guys, like otherwise I tend to overspend. So if he's like, hey, I'm gonna run to the grocery store, I need, you know, $20, like I take it out of our envelope at home and give it to him. So that's kind of why I have my cash envelopes then in my wallet, which I don't really keep filled. I just pull from what I need. Like if I know that the kids and I are going to do an activity, I'll take, you know, $30 out of the activity envelope that's at home and bring that cash with me. That way I'm not carrying a lot of cash on me. I have enough, and because I don't have extra cash, I can't spend more. And I try to be very diligent and intentional about not putting things on my credit card. So like if I go somewhere and I have a certain amount of cash, I really try to stay within that amount, because yes, it would be very easy to just be like, oh, well, it's $10 more, I'm just gonna charge it. But if you do that like a couple times a week or every day, you know, that money is going to add up. I had a different video within the series where I think I was talking to you guys about that, you know, that debt can like, or that expense can really just snowball. So I would highly recommend making sure that you're setting realistic amounts for these cash envelope categories. You know, don't cut it down so drastic, but, you know, again, based off of your budget, take out what you need and do it however you want for the month, for the paycheck, whatever is the best way for you. And then I personally like having an amount at home that's in a safe place, secure, and taking out what I need each day that I carry with me in my wallet. So again, you know, that just makes me feel a little bit better, more peace of mind, so that I don't have to worry about losing it or somebody stealing it or overspending it, right? Because again, if I have, let's say, like $70 for the week for activities for the kids or for the month or whatever it is, and I take all of that with me, I could spend all of that, right? Because I see the cash, I have it, but then that means I don't have any more than for the rest of the week or the rest of the month or whatever it is. So I think it's better to kind of, like beforehand, you know, gauge how much you will need and just that is how I have used the cash envelopes in the system. I do my gas cashless, so usually I'm just kind of tracking how much. So again, I don't recommend doing that if this is like your first time, or if you're really trying to get out of debt or trying to get a hold on your expenses. I do think that using the physical cash is the best because it's tangible and you can see it, and there is a little bit of an emotional interaction there with it, right? Like you have to let go of that, whereas a card, you're just swiping and you have no idea what your total ends up being, unless you're like constantly on your account tracking every single expense. The cash envelope system has been helpful and just game-changing, so that's why I talk so much about it, and that's why I've decided, you know, to do this little series, because if you have not given this a try, I really hope that this encourages you to just take the leap and do it. And you don't have to spend money, you don't have to have a lot of fancy envelopes or things. Like you can literally go get some like post-it notes, or you know, paperclip the money together and put it again in a safe place at home, and just have it divided up, and then take from it what you need in your wallet. Like you can do this on a very affordable, very easy budget to start with. Like I don't want you guys to feel like you have to go spend a bunch of money just to do this, because that's not the case. Now there are a lot of amazing shops and a lot of really awesome products to go along with it, and if you get to that point and you want to have that, I do think it helps to encourage you to stay consistent with it, because you kind of have a system set up then, right? Like everything is organized, it has a place. So I do think that at some point it is nice to have, but I don't think it's a necessity to start. So I hope that this video helped you guys and blessed you. I hope that if this is something that you are just starting, you'll leave me a comment below. Let me know if there's anything I can help with or answer if you had any questions. And I will look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and may God bless you. Bye.